Charles wanted the ball, got it, and nailed it.
That is all day, every day for Tina Charles.
Good ball movement around the horn, and then Rivers.
The Indiana Fever's West Coast road trip carried with it a lingering cloud of concern and anticipation as fans closely monitored the status of rookie phenom Caitlin Clark, who has been sidelined with a groin injury that has stubbornly kept her from returning to the court. As of Sunday, August 3rd, Clark was still out of the lineup during the Fever's matchup against the Seattle Storm. A frustrating reality for a team and fan base desperate for her presence. Despite the pain and disappointment, there was a flicker of hope when Clark was seen traveling with the team and wearing practice gear, sparking rumors that her return was imminent. The sight of Clark smiling on the sidelines, interacting with teammates, and looking physically engaged suggested that the worst might be behind her. But then came a sobering update from Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White, who addressed reporters with a tone of cautious realism that quickly dimmed that initial spark of hope. White acknowledged the steady progress in Clark's recovery, but admitted there was still no clear timeline for her return. "We've had updates from the training staff and her recovery is going well," White explained, carefully choosing her words to balance optimism with medical prudence. "You know, for us, it's staying the course and making sure that we're really diligent about each step that we take, and that we don't have setbacks, and that we're patient with it." It was a message rooted in care and caution, but also one that left fans aching for clarity. Clark, the face of the Fever, and arguably of the entire WNBA rookie class, is known for her fiery competitiveness and unrelenting desire to lead, to score, to win. So, it was no surprise when White added, "I know she wants to be out here on the floor, and we want her out here on the floor. But making sure that she's ready is the most important thing." Those words hit hardest not because they were pessimistic, but because they carried the weight of reality. For all the hope and excitement Clark brings, the human body has its limits. Recovery isn't always linear. And for an athlete whose body has already been through intense wear and tear, patience becomes more than a virtue, it becomes the only responsible option. White didn't sugarcoat the situation. "I still don't know how far we are," she said plainly. "We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and go from there." That open-endedness was painful to hear for many. Fever fans have been waiting anxiously for a turnaround in their season, and Clark's absence looms largely on the scoreboard, but in the energy, momentum, and ticket sales that her presence inevitably drives. Even more frustrating is the fact that just days earlier, on July 24th, the Fever had issued a relatively reassuring medical update, confirming that no additional injuries or complications had been found after further evaluations. But despite that report, the truth remains. Groin injuries can be complex, and even if imaging scans show no new damage, the pain, tightness, and risk of re-injury can still linger well beyond expectations. It's not just about being medically cleared, it's about being game-ready, mentally sharp, and physically confident enough to sprint, pivot, shoot, and defend at the elite level that Caitlin Clark demands of herself. This delay in her return is part of a troubling pattern of injuries that has followed Clark from her college days at Iowa, where she occasionally battled quad tightness and lower body strain, to her early months as a professional. The groin strain, in particular, has proven to be a nagging issue, one that requires careful handling because the demands of a WNBA season offer little room for error or extended rest. Yet Clark has remained publicly upbeat, often seen engaging with fans, cheering on her teammates, and refusing to let frustration show on her face. Her maturity and professionalism have been on full display throughout this process, and she continues to lead in spirit even when she can't on the court. But fans can't help but feel the emotional toll of waiting, watching games where her absence is painfully obvious, and wondering when, or if, she'd be able to return at full strength. This season, the Fever, who rely heavily on Clark's playmaking, shooting range, and court vision, have struggled to find rhythm without her. The spacing changes, the defensive focus shifts, and the intangible leadership that Clark brings has been irreplaceable. As a rookie, she has already been entrusted with franchisable expectations, and her injury has exposed just how reliant the team has become on her presence. Coach White has remained a steadying force in the chaos, constantly reiterating the need for patience and process. "This is not about rushing her back for one game," White emphasized. "It's about making sure she's strong for the rest of the season and for many seasons to come." She's right, Clark is more than a short-term asset. She represents the future of the franchise and one of the most marketable athletes in women's sports today. Rushing her return, only to risk a re-aggravation, or worse, would be short-sighted. That's a difficult message to convey to a fan base that is starved for success and desperate to see their star shine again. But the long-term vision must prevail. This injury saga is also a reminder of how brutal professional sports can be, especially for young athletes under the microscope. Clark entered the league with monumental expectations, media attention, and a massive fan following. Every game she plays or doesn't play makes headlines. Every win or loss is magnified through her lens. And with that spotlight comes a weight that few rookies in any sport have had to carry. The WNBA has seen a historic rise in viewership and engagement this season, much of it driven by Clark's arrival. But that momentum has also fueled unrealistic expectations. Fans want nightly 30-point games, viral passes, buzzer beaters, and non-stop dominance. Yet even the most transcendent talents are human, and bodies don't always cooperate with narrative arcs. Clark's story this season is one of resilience and restraint, knowing when to push and when to pause. Her medical team, coaches, and support staff are all aligned in ensuring she doesn't return until she's truly ready, regardless of external pressures. The groin injury, while not catastrophic, demands respect. It affects acceleration, lateral movement, and core stability, all essential for a guard like Clark, who thrives on explosive drives, off-balance shooting, and fast-break offense. Coming back too soon could create compensation injuries or turn a temporary setback into a season-ending issue. Behind the scenes, Clark has been participating in light practice drills, working closely with trainers, and focusing on mobility and strength building. She's not idle. She's grinding quietly, methodically, and with the same competitive fire that defines her game. Her return, whenever it happens, will be on her terms and according to the protocols that prioritize her health over hype. Until then, fans are left in a holding pattern, tuning into games, scanning the sidelines for signs of progress, and clinging to every word Coach White offers. The emotional investment is real. Clark has become more than a player, symbol of hope, transformation, and the next generation of women's basketball. Every missed game is felt deeply, not just in Indiana, but by a national audience that has adopted her as a cultural icon. Still, hope remains. Injuries heal. Stars rise again. And when Clark finally steps back onto the hardwood, whether it's next week or next month, the eruption of applause and emotion will mark not just a return, but a renewal of everything she represents. For now, the Fever continue their journey without their brightest star, leaning into team unity, player development, and the hard-earned lessons that come from adversity. And Caitlin Clark, from the sidelines, remains what she's always been: competitor, a leader, and the heartbeat of a franchise that believes her best is still yet to come.
Vegas trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Stokes out on Clark.
Caitlin Clark's rookie season in the WNBA has been nothing short of a roller coaster. Blazing starts, breakout moments, national attention, and now a frustrating stretch on the sidelines due to a stubborn right groin injury that has already forced her to miss 7 consecutive games. What started as a minor concern back in mid-July has now grown into one of the most discussed injury situations in the league. Not only because of who she is, but because of what she represents to her team, the Indiana Fever, and the sport as a whole. Her absence has been deeply felt, not just in the box score, but in the energy, identity, and rhythm of the Fever's offense. Along the way, Clark missed not only standard regular season matchups, but marquee events that fans had eagerly circled months in advance. She sat out the Commissioner's Cup Final and the WNBA All-Star Game, both pivotal stages that were expected to highlight her explosive rookie campaign and help solidify her already iconic status among fans. Those moments passed without her, and with each missed game, the questions around her return grew louder. As of Sunday's hard-fought 78-74 victory over the Seattle Storm, Clark has now missed 16 total regular season games, a staggering number for someone expected to be the heartbeat of the franchise. Friday's much-hyped showdown with Paige Buchers and the Dallas Wings was another notable absence, leaving fans across both cities lamenting a missed opportunity to watch two of the most electrifying guards in women's basketball go head-to-head on the professional stage. Clark's current absence dates back to July 15th, when the groin strain first sidelined her during a pivotal stretch for the Fever. Since then, the team has had to adapt quickly, reshuffling rotations, altering offensive schemes, and placing added pressure on other guards to fill the void. Surprisingly, and to their credit, the Fever have managed to hold their own in Clark's absence, with a 9-7 record during her sidelining and a current 5-game winning streak. Indiana has surged to a 17-12 season record, placing them above the Seattle Storm in the overall standings and giving fans a glimmer of hope that the playoffs might still be within reach, even without their superstar on the court. Much of that resilience can be attributed to the collective effort of the team, but one name that continues to stand out is Ari McDonald. Brought in specifically to support the backcourt during Clark's recovery, McDonald has proven to be a reliable and versatile presence, averaging 9.8 points, 4.7 assists, and 2.2 rebounds over 18 games. Her leadership and poise have helped stabilize the guard rotation, giving the Fever a fighting chance in high-pressure matchups and maintaining some level of continuity amidst the disruption. Still, no matter how well the team performs, there's no denying that they are not the same without Caitlin Clark's elite playmaking, jaw-dropping shooting range, and court vision that transforms every possession. Her ability to create offense out of thin air, draw defenders with gravity few others possess, and ignite both fans and teammates with electrifying moments is irreplaceable. Opponents defend differently when Clark is on the court. Spacing opens up, and the overall pace and creativity of the offense elevates. Without her, the game slows, predictability creeps in, and the Fever are forced to grind through every possession, as the Fever now march deeper into a grueling West Coast road trip with upcoming showdowns against the Los Angeles Sparks and the Phoenix Mercury. Looming uncertainty continues to shadow their every step. On the surface, seeing Clark dressed in team gear, smiling during shoot-arounds, and traveling with her teammates gives the impression that she's close to a return. These visuals have fueled speculation and hope that perhaps her return is imminent. However, that optimism was checked by the sobering words of head coach Stephanie White, who continues to temper expectations with realism and care. Speaking candidly to reporters ahead of the Seattle matchup, White acknowledged the progress in Clark's recovery but emphasized that the Fever are still taking things one day at a time. "We've had updates from the training staff and her recovery is going well," White explained. "But we're staying the course and making sure we're really diligent about each step we take. We can't afford setbacks. We have to be patient." For fans who have been holding their breath for a definitive timeline, those comments were difficult to hear. The Fever aren't just protecting a player, they're protecting an investment, a future, and a career that promises to be one of the most impactful in the history of women's basketball. White added, "I know she wants to be out here on the floor, and we want her out here on the floor. But making sure she's ready is the most important thing." She didn't sugarcoat the situation, acknowledging that she still doesn't know how far off Clark might be, but reiterated the team's approach. One step at a time. This cautious tone stands in contrast to the team's July 24 medical update, which stated that no new damage had been found in further evaluations, news that had briefly lifted hopes. But as is often the case with groin injuries, the true test is functional movement, pain response, and the ability to return without altering mechanics. Even if medical scans come back clear, the risk of compensating and causing a secondary injury remains a major concern. Groin injuries in basketball are particularly difficult because they impact an athlete's ability to change direction, accelerate explosively, and withstand contact, all essential elements in Caitlin